Namaste. While dance takes us out of ourselves and into a larger, much larger world, yoga brings us right back to connect us with the divinity that resides in us. On the occasion of International Yoga Day, Chairperson Usharani Manne and her committee welcome you all to a consciousness-expanding lecture by scholar, exponent, dancer par excellence, Yashoda Thakore. Welcome, Yashoda. I can't wait to hear her unravel the interesting aspects of how yoga and dance are similar, how they are different, what is required of a practitioner, why these two traditions have been intertwined for millennia, and much more. Before we start, Ananda will set an auspicious tone for the afternoon with an invocatory sloka dedicated to Dakshinamurti, the personification of Lord Shiva, as the ultimate awareness and understanding of all types of knowledge. Ananda.
Om Namah Pranavardhaya Shuddha-jnanaika-mūrtaye Nirmalaya Prasantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Namah Pranavardhaya Shuddha-jnanaika-mūrtaye Nirmalaya Prasantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha.
Thank you, Ananda. The absolute divinity in that rendition, I think, held the power to lead us all towards Kaivalya. Deepena sadhyate sarvaha. It is by the lamp that everything can be achieved. I request our special guest this afternoon, Yashoda Thakore, to light the auspicious lamp. Chairperson Usharani Manne. Senior Vice Chairperson Umachi Gurupati. Chairperson Usharani Manne, I invite you to now share your message with us.
Special guest Yashoda Thakore, past chairs, my dear fellow flow members, and all our viewers. Namaste. I started practicing yoga just 2 years ago as a preparation for undertaking my Manasarovar Yatra. I didn't realize then how much a part of my life it would become. The time I spend on the mat every morning is not just about stretching and pushing the limits of the body. It is a pathway to discovering my own potential, be it a physical, mental, or even emotional. Today's topic was selected with love and care by my talented team to introduce us to another aspect of yoga and its relationship with dance. Because dance can't be bound by space, we plan to go live today. Of course, with all safety measures. Hope you will all enjoy the experience. Our endeavor is to engage you in pursuit of new ideas that strengthen professionalism through our power hours. We had 4 of them already in the last 30 days. Our mission is to enrich you with insights and experiences that will move you towards living at the maximum through our Knowledge Lab series, of which this is the first one, and to enable those that are less resourced with more opportunities and assistance to develop livelihood skills through our social outreach initiatives. I would like to congratulate the teams working hard despite the current circumstances and to help us achieve our objectives. The membership team, led by Lalita George, ably assisted by Smita Sanghi, Mrudula Malu, Vani Sudham, Tejasri Rao, Sweta Sanghi, have done a tremendous job by adding 53 members to the FLO family in just 1 month. And they have identified many more. What is truly commendable is the quality of intake. We have some wonderful women on board now whose specific skill sets can be of great support in achieving our goals. Thank you, team. Keep up the good work. As reported earlier, we are noticing a healthy trend of renewals. For all those who have not yet renewed their annual membership, please do so before 30th of this month. Our members are reaching out to you with the offer of assistance. Do take their help if required to complete the payment formalities. Non-payment would lead to cancellation of membership, and renewal means starting all over again from scratch. The changed criteria for admission can also be a tougher stepping stone than before. So please take this renewal deadline seriously. FLO is your platform to work wonders on. Our emails and broadcast messages bring to you the news of events, courses, mentorship opportunities, women-specific initiatives, and much more, requesting you to pay attention to the content. It is useful at all times. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. FLO is an organization that allows us to do just this. Let's come together, stay together, and work together for a brighter tomorrow. Today's guest, Yashoda, is no stranger to the Hyderabad Art Circle. What sets her apart is her dedicated pursuit of understanding and bringing to the fore the socio-cultural aspects of our dance forms, particularly Devadasi Nrityam. That she has earned a doctorate for their thesis on the interrelationship between yoga and dance and successfully published a book, Kaivalya. On it made her our obvious choice to bring out another aspect of yoga. Priya will tell more about her. Thank you, Yashoda, for accepting our request to join us at our first Knowledge Lab sessions today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Usha. Our guest today, Yashoda Thakore, is an exponent of Kuchipudi and Devadasi Nrityam and reinforces her repertoire with her understanding and practice of yoga. As Usha just mentioned, she was awarded the doctoral degree for her research on interrelationship between yoga and Indian classical dances. Yashoda authored the book Kaivalya-Joy of Yoga and Dance, which was published in 2014. She has also co-authored the translation of NṛttaRatnāvali, a 13th century text, and edited the stories of the 20th century Telugu poet Malladi Ramakrishna Sastri. She is currently serving as chair, Department of Kuchipudi, University of Silicon Andhra, California, where she teaches dance history, theory, and practice to graduate students. Her workshops on dance at Russia, Paris, USA, and many other parts of the world have garnered high acclaim. The University of Pennsylvania invited her as artist in residence. The University of Hyderabad also invited her as part of the distinguished lecture series, along with Professor Davesh Soneji. IIT Hyderabad hosted her workshops on dance and on yoga on several occasions. She was conferred the Bangalore Nagaratnamma Award in 2017 by the Samskriti organization, Guntur, and the Ugadi Puraskaram by the government of Andhra Pradesh. Yashoda, stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Priya. Namaskaram to all of you. Thank you, Flo, for inviting me over to talk on a topic very close to my heart, yoga and dance. It's been a while since I spoke about this because I've really gotten into the social side of it and doing a lot of Devadasi work, so it feels so good. I'll come to the topic directly. So you will see a lot of dance in today's talk, yoga with respect to dance. So the question is, what doesn't yoga help? All of us have heard that dance itself is yoga. Yes, but to what extent is the question. And yoga is a preparation for everything in life. Why do we talk about yoga in connection with dance specifically is there is so much of the body involved in both the studies of dance and yoga. Let's talk about yoga first, and then we'll see how the dance comes in. Yoga, like most of us know, comes from the root word yuj, which means to unite, to yoke together, to bring together. So what are we really bringing together? We are bringing this mind, body, and the consciousness together. Big words, we'll talk about them in simplified sentences as we go on. But we will talk about them from the dance perspective because that's the only lens I look through at this whole world. There's a very beautiful concept of the Shad-darshanas in this culture. So when I was in my yoga class and these Sanskrit terms were thrown at me, I didn't like it too much. But then when I began to understand the very broad-mindedness about doing this study, the darshanas came about only because different people looked at Veda differently. Yoga, of course, takes its root in Vedas. And Veda, being the whole body of knowledge, was looked at differently by different people from various backgrounds. So if a philosopher looked at it, it became logic, nyaya. If a person from the biology aspect or an anthropologist looked at it, it became vaiseshika. It became the origin, the evolution, the theory of evolution. Then came the Purva Mimamsa, where the rituals came in. And then came the Uttara Mimamsa, which was really understanding the rituals. Interestingly, just as a side note, Hinduism begins at that point. It only begins from the Darshana's point. Then we have Sankhya, which is a cousin of yoga. Sankhya, where consciousness and the body is combined and studied together. Then came yoga as the sixth darshana, where the mind was included to Sankhya. So the body, mind, and consciousness. Since we're talking so much about the mind, it's important for us to really look at the mind from all the angles that it has been looked at before. But before that, we have to talk about the hero of the day, the hero of our lives really is Patanjali. Patanjali, considered the father of yoga, he says, I haven't discovered yoga. I have only brought in all the yogic aspects from everywhere that has been established, that has been received and accepted, and put it into one place. And he wrote the Yoga Sutras, the Yoga Darshana. So Patanjali says, the first sutra of the Yoga Sutras is Atha Yoganushāsanam, where he says, now, Atha meaning now, at this moment. So this word Atha is a very beautiful word, because the word Atha itself means breaking away from the past and the future. It is now. At this moment, he says, I'm here to teach you whatever I know of yoga, in the given time, in the given resources, whatever I know, I shall teach you without holding back anything. That's a sankalpam, that's a promise he makes. And today I'm here to talk about this. Since we are talking so much about the mind, let's look at the mind. First of all, I ask, where is the mind placed? And then when it's little kids, they say it's in the brain. No. The mind is an activity, and so the mind just encompasses the whole, it just spreads itself through the body. It's an activity, right? So what does the mind do? What doesn't the mind do? The mind has activities, so it has proper understanding. So we always talk about the mind in a very negative sense. Let's not do that. Let's talk about mind in a very positive sense. We talk about, my mind is not concentrating, my mind is going elsewhere. No, the mind is actually something that empowers us. So the mind thinks correctly, understands correctly, also misunderstands. There's also misapprehension. It imagines. The mind sleeps. There is also sleep. Then there is memory, which is so important for us, the memory of the mind. I'm doing away with the Sanskrit words for now. If these are the activities of the mind, Patanjali says, every activity of this mind should be focused on one particular aspect. So his term is yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha, which means every activity is focused on every activity of the mind is focused on one aspect. When you look at it from this point of view, anything is empowered by yoga, anything is polished by yoga. You could clean the cobwebs better if you practice yoga, right? So from the flip side is, cleaning the cobwebs with so much concentration and commitment itself is yoga, because all the activities of the mind are focused on that. So I'll come back to dance, because that's a compulsive syndrome. It has to come back to dance, whatever I talk. When we dance, if it is done with that kind of commitment where you are sleeping for dance without dreams, deep sleep without dreams is what nidra is, where you're imagining dance, you have the memory of dance, you understand dance and you misunderstand dance, you're working for everything that encompasses dance, everything in the sense, am I losing hair? Tomorrow if I have to dance on the stage, do I have enough hair to hold my false hair? To that point you're thinking of dance. Then you are in a state of yoga towards your concept, towards your goal. You're moving towards your goal. Okay, those are the activities of the mind. Something very interesting is he also talks about the states of mind. In the states of the mind, it's very nice. He talks about kshipta, which is like the drunken monkey, where the mind is just all over the place. Then there is mudha, where the mind is lazy. Then there is vikshipta, where the mind is, at times, it comes into focus, but other times it's just everywhere. Then there is ekagrata, which is concentration. And then there is nirodha, where there is nothing at all. It's just beautiful. It's a very beautiful stage where there is nothing at all in the mind. So with all the sadhana, years and lives of sadhana, we may experience the state of nirodha for a second, But it's worth it, believe me, that 1 second. And then there are the qualities of the mind, sattva, rajas and tamoguna, tamas, the 3 qualities. Sattva, where there is extreme clarity. Rajas is where there is a lot of energy, too much energy sometimes. And tamoguna is where there is laziness and lack of clarity. Why I talk about this is, there is so much understanding of the mind that has been done. When it comes to awareness, which is important for us, to be aware of that state of mind. So when when we suddenly want to yell at somebody, can we stop for a second and just become aware that we want to shout at somebody? Please yell. Yell, but do it with awareness. Don't do it compulsively. Do it. If you want to kill somebody, please kill, but do it with an awareness. You may not want to do it if you do it with awareness. You might want to do something else. There's an option. Right. How does this connect to dance? It very much does. Because Patanjali says, you are the one who will tell the mind what to do. So a very, very beautiful and lovely motif is, I'm not too much of an artist, but I'll try my hand at this. He says the mind is blind. It has legs, but it is blind. So the mind walks, but it is blind. So it's just all over the place. There is no focus at all. When it comes to the consciousness, who is the consciousness? The consciousness is you. It is us. We are the ones who will tell the mind what to do. Mind doesn't listen to me, it just wanders. It is you who has to tell. So you, the consciousness, are not blind. You are not blind, but you have no legs. The mind has to take you around. So what we do is, what Patanjali did was, he made the consciousness sit on the shoulders of the mind. The consciousness has a smile, right? He has his eyes too. And he tells the mind where to go. If you can make yourself sit on the shoulders of the mind, and you can tell the mind, there, I have an assignment to complete, I have to do this. The mind will not think of a movie, it has to complete the assignment. Then your consciousness is on the shoulders of the mind. We dancers we come to perform, we've done the whole day's work. Let's look at today's dancers. The whole day we've been working in an office or anywhere else, and we come to the dance class. It's so calm. Sometimes you don't really want to dance, you know. You don't want to dance because that energy is kind of settling down, flowing into tamoguna, which there is a danger of that going into laziness. So what would you do? Just become aware of it and work it up. Work it up. How? Through your breath. Your breath being your best friend. So we'll talk about breath when we talk about pranayama, little later. So I have this pattern, you see, I have to go through this pattern. Patanjali talks a whole lot. He talks about life itself. The beauty about Patanjali is he does not say, leave society and go to the Himalayas. He says, you stay in society and work for society. That's why he's my hero, really, you know. He says, you stay here and you work for society. Work on yourself and so work for society. I'll only take two concepts of Patanjali that he has spoken. I'll talk about Ashtanga Yoga that he has spoken about, and I'll talk about the Kriya Yoga. So when I'm talking about dance, I will not talk about just the physical part of it or just the mental part of it. I will talk about how this yoga helps a dancer too. Because we as artists, there are a few problems we suffer, you know. We'll see to it that we don't suffer them. There are this extra jealousy or extra insecurity, which is a package. It's part of us as dancers. So we'll undo it. Why should it be a part of us? We don't want foreign elements in us. So when it comes to Ashtanga Yoga, of 8 limbs in the yoga. So one, he says, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Dharana, Dhyana, Pratyahara, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. How do these connect to us? When he talks of yama, he is basically talking about social discipline. How do you connect with society? So he begins with this. In fact, it's not a ladder, it's a circle. You know, the Ashtanga yoga that Patanjali gives, you can begin anywhere. You can begin with the asana, because that's available down the street. You can begin with the asana. Perfect. But make sure you are aware of everything else. So yama, he says, is social discipline. How do you connect with society and be a part of society? You cannot say, I'm a diva, I'm a dancer, I don't understand all this. Is not accepted. You have to be a part of society and make sure your dance is reaching out to society. Of course, under yama, he has a lot of other, there are a lot of subdivisions. I will not get into that. I must tell you that I am concentrating this lecture on Kuchipudi because that is my area of expertise. So through Kuchipudi, I will talk about all these to you. When it comes to niyama, he talks about self-discipline. How do you, in fact, he talks about cleanliness. To that extent, he says, it is so important for you to keep body, mind and soul clean and work on yourself. It is one of the angas. Asana. It's very obvious, right? We know, in fact, most of us know yoga as only asana. Dance is also asana. Dance is also a string of asanas, one performed after the other to music, to a certain rhythm. Shall we see a small bit? I've been talking for too long. We need to dance. So let's see a small bit of dancing. It's a small jati, it's a nritta piece in Kuchipudi. So it gives you all the movements that go into it. But before we play this and we dance to this, why asana? When it's all about the mind, why the body? Didn't we hear this thing in this culture? We hear this, the body is not so important. Go beyond the body. When we are going beyond the body, why are we exercising it? That's another major problem. Why are we working so much about it? Because it's only when the body is devoid of all the blocks that the mind begins to work. Our energy has to rise from the lowest part of the spine upwards and go through the whole body. It has to move through the whole body till the mind, till the brain, only when the body it moves freely. There's a certain amount of stability and comfort in all the movements that we do. So hence there is asana. So as we keep doing asanas with an awareness, if we just do asanas all our lives for fitness, it doesn't work with the brain. It is fitness for the body, for the mind also. Let's do a little bit of dancing. The first song, Shubhakar, please. Just the first one.
Dhanam dhanata takadhimitam tadim gedata chanum chadutta takadhimitam tadim gedata dhimim dhimita takadhimitam tadim gedata dhanam dhanata takadhimi chanum chadutta takadhimi dhimim dhimita takadhimi dhanam dhanata tam chanum chanutta te dhimim dhimita tam dhanam dhanata chanum chadutta dhimim dhimita dhanam the channel, the dimin, the dim, get the tatik, get the kadagata, dim, get the tatik, get the kadagata, dim, get the tatik, get the.
So that's about asana. Let's talk about pranayama. When it comes to asana again, Very interestingly, Patanjali doesn't talk about asana in the Yoga Sutras. The asanas have actually come much later in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But what Patanjali says is, he gives just 3 sutras for asana. And he talks about how the spine remains straight, completely straight, and how you sit in Padmasana. So that kind of stability is what is looked for. That's all he says. And then he talks about how you use your breath to cleanse your mind. Let's go to pranayama. Prana meaning life. We know this. Essentially, in the yogic culture, prana talks about life energy. So when we are talking about life energy, we say, it's very beautiful, you know, how the Vedas, the Vedic vision of the human body, talks of the body, the left side being the moon side and the right side being the sun side. The left side being your emotional side and the right being the intellectual side. So it's all about how you regulate your breath to activate that particular side that you need at that time. There is a different, even in this prana, which is basically controlling of the breath, or better still, regulating of the breath. Expanding the breath, regulating the breath. This prana has different functions in different parts of the body. So you have one particular prana which works on reproduction, one that works on digestion, one that works on the emotions, one that works on the voice, the other one that works on the movement. But this prana has to move in the body, right? We can't have blocks in the body. If this has to move, it is the asana which facilitates this movement to go all through. Now when it comes to prana again, pranayama, how can we use it to our advantage? You remember we just spoke about the sattva, rajas, tamo gunas, where there is clarity, there is a lot of rigor, and in this, as a dancer, when you need to portray a particular character, you will understand the nature of the character and you will begin to portray it. In the sense, if you have to understand the nature of the character, you will use your breath to get into that character, right? Now, if you have to understand the mind, if you take a character like Duryodhana, or you take a character like Shakuni, you will find that their breath is not calm and expanded. The sattva characters will have a very elongated, calm breath. Rajoguna will have that short breath, that kind of a situation. When it comes to tamoguna, again, it's a very broken kind of a breath, not irregular kind of a breath. You might want to change your state of mind. Suppose you want to change your state of mind. I always give this example to students of, there's a tennis match going on, and you have the player here, he's all set, both players are all set to really conquer the opponent. And suddenly this player gets into a very sattvic state and says, how does it matter? Let the opponent win, the whole country will demolish him. So at that time, it is not sattva guna that is needed. Sattva guna is to be a constant thing. But at that time, what is needed is rajoguna, where he is there to conquer to defeat the opponent. So if you have to work your breath to suit the situation, if you have to work your mind to suit the situation, your breath is your best way. 2 o'clock in the night or 1 o'clock in the night, you can't sleep. Breath comes to your rescue. The breath obviously is short and disturbed, so calm down and breathe even you might want to sleep. 10 o'clock in the morning or in my lecture you want to sleep, please breathe fast and you'll wake up. It's good for you. So it's just about using your breath to your advantage in that situation. I'd like to demonstrate something for you. When we were talking about yama, I was talking about how you connect with society, communicate with society. Kuchipudi takes a little, the special thing about Kuchipudi is it's a very desi form, in the sense it comes from a very indigenous background. So even if it has all the esoteric elements in it, if you choose to look at them that way, the indigenous nature of it is not gone. So it reaches out to common man and the elite alike. So there is a drama element because of the background of Kuchipudi. I'd like to present to you one little story from the Mahabharata, which all of you would know, but just as a recap, there are these two first cousins, Kauravas 100, Pandavas 5. Kauravas, the eldest one, Duryodhana, invites the Pandavas for a game of dice, and Shakuni, his uncle, cheats them into losing the game of dice. Duryodhana commands his brother Dushasana to bring Draupadi in, the wife of the Pandavas. So Draupadi is dragged by the hair into the court, where Dushasana pulls off her saris, and then Lord Krishna protects her, giving her endless number of saris. This is the story in short. So I shall do this for you. It works both ways, So when I began with my yoga practice and this dance, I worked on using my breath to get into the character. Now, after all these years, I just do the character, I get into the character, the breath takes its own course. The breath falls in place if properly involved. Right? Let's do the small piece. It's the Natakiyata, the dramatization of Kuchipudi, the second song played. So the song also begins with Tyagaraja, the composer, singing to Rama, saying, how long do you want to subject me to these sorrows? And then it goes on to the drama part of it. So this dancer, poor thing, has another challenge. She needs to get into the character, but she can't be lost in the character. So she doesn't have the luxury of crying as Draupadi or being her whatever self as Krishna. She has to portray that character. So this is where the yoga aspect comes in, because it is not about you. It is about who you are depicting there, which means you are actually, as a dancer, stepping out of yourself completely. You just step out of yourself, get into that character, dance that character, and please do step out of that character again. It could be a big danger if you don't. So step out of that character and come back to yourself. And this we do every practice, every dance class, every day we do this. How much yoga, how much of mental training is going on if you do it with an awareness. If you don't do it with an awareness and commitment, then you have this danger of the whole thing becoming another cosmetic piece, which we do not want in Indian dance. We do want it to be something you do with a sense of submission, right? So it's about awareness and it's about acceptance. That's a little, just talking a little bit about pranayama. Then there is pratyahara. Pratyahara, where you are pulling in, drawing in all your senses, your 5 senses. That's another thing, we'll store it for another day. Your senses are not an evil for you. They are a gift for you. They are a gift to understand the world. So when these senses are drawn in and regulated, for you to use them at the time that you want to, in the way that you want to, and you forget. See, you know what's most difficult? It's the sense of the skin and the nose, because you can't close them. When you're cold, you are cold. What do you do with the skin? And when we dance barefoot. Indian dances, so most Indian dances, we dance barefoot. If you have to dance in a place like Ladakh, which does a festival in June when it's snowing, and you dance in the open air, you can't wear shoes and dance. You still have to dance barefoot. You can't wear the costume that the other dancers of the local indigenous dancers are wearing. You still have to do this. And your pieces are 15 minutes long. You cannot breathe in that oxygen. You still have to do it, and you still do it. The minute the Tirmanam is over and you're on stage, there is a heat within you. The sense of the skin refuses to work according to the rule. It just works according to the dancer's rule. This is pratyahara. Even if there's a fantastic cuisine being cooked outside the stage, you're still dancing there and you're hungry. That is pratyahara. Not looking at the audience while dancing. Or you look at the audience, you actually communicate with the audience, but then you're not disturbed by the audience. Even if they make a face at you or they boo you or whatever happens, you still look at the audience, and even if they appreciate you, you're not taken away, you're not distracted by that. That is pratyahara. Right? Okay. Dharana. Now dharana is very beautifully said. So when he talks about dharana, he talks about it as sustaining the concentration, sustaining the focus. So between dharana and dhyana, the difference he says is, I don't have to talk much after this example. Dharana, he says, is like drops of honey falling. So this is where you are enjoying that joyous moment, but there is a gap in between. Dhyana is when you continue the state of pranayama. After having done your asana practice and you continue the state of pranayama, you have surpassed the pratyahara. After dharana is when the honey falls as a string. So dhyana is when there is continuous sweetness and continuous clarity of mind. That is dhyana. Let's come to samadhi. I have a feeling I'm overshooting time now. Okay. Let's come to samadhi. Samadhi is not death. Please, it is not death. It is not the crematorium. Samadhi is where there is total clarity. So much clarity that the minute you see the object, you know what it is. It's not just the object. The minute you read the script, you know what the author had in mind. It is not your sensibility that you're pouring into that piece of script and dancing. Even if it is outside dance, there are so many times we don't understand people. There are so many times we don't understand situations. When you're in a state of samadhi, there is no question of not understanding or even understanding, because it's all very clear to you. It's all very clean. The mind is like a white paper. That is what we are aiming at. The mind being clear like a white paper, and taking the color that is dropped on it is samadhi. It's so beautiful because there's a lot of English poetry that I used to find very difficult to understand. But then when at some moment I do understand, it's like, wow, this is so clear. You know, that clarity comes not over a period of time, but instantly in a state of samadhi. So we are all the time moving towards that. What happens to you as a dancer, to us, let's say, to us as a dancer, as dancers is, when we are on stage, we don't have to work too hard to communicate to the audience. We just have to be there with a completely clear state of mind and know the literature that we are dancing to and emote to it. The minimum is enough. The minimum is enough to communicate to the audience, and for the audience, not just communicate, for them to enjoy it and lap it up. Enjoy it over a period of time. Carry it with them and enjoy it over a period of time, which is what we are here for. That is our duty as dancers, to create that aesthetic pleasure, to create that aesthetic experience to the audience. That's Ashtanga Yoga for us. There is a little bit I have to tell you about Patanjali is when he talks about Kriya Yoga. When he talks about Kriya Yoga, he says Tapas, Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhana. I choose to talk about this because I feel Lord Krishna has spoken in the Bhagavad Gita, and he said, do your duty, leave the rest to me, don't think of the result. It's very easy for him to say that. We can't do it, it's not easy. He is God, he has said that, it's okay. But Patanjali is Guru, so he's closer to us. He will tell you how to do it. He'll tell you how. It's the same thing that Krishna has said. Patanjali says, if you have a goal that far, fix your goal. I think this is taught in business classes these days, but I will still tell you. If you have a goal that far, divide this journey towards that goal into smaller goals. And then you start. Tapas is what? Tapas we know is meditation, but basically tapas means to begin action. Tapas is action. So you begin action, even to think that, okay, now I will begin action is beginning of the action. Right? You begin your action, do the action, stop for a second, swa adhyaya, introspect. In fact, it may sound redundant, but he says self-introspect. Think, go inwards and see how you have done it. He doesn't say ask somebody else. He says you find out for yourself. Because if you have made a mistake in step 1, you can correct it in step 2. So he says ask yourself, introspect, adhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. He says surrender. Whether it was the right or the wrong, just surrender at that point. That is only goal 1. There is goal 2. So he says to do this at every step. And believe me, this has happened to me, that I have taken this after I've started the yoga classes, and there are instances when I even forgot where the goal was. The goal I had set was left far behind. And you just progress. Then the goal is not of so much consequence. It's about the process, it's the journey that becomes so beautiful for you. So when I am asked, what are your future plans? I have no future plans. I have never planned anything for the future because I'm so busy doing what we need to do at this time. Working on what we have to do at this time. I think that's the best way to live, Then you are not angsting about what you need to achieve. Right. Keep your focus in place and just keep going. That is Kriya Yoga. For us as dancers, because it's so corporeal, our dance, it's so connected with the body, what is very nice about the Yoga Sutras is, in the first chapter itself, he tells you what yoga is, he tells you how to go about it, then he tells you what will stop you from doing yoga. He'll tell you what the obstacles are, and he'll tell you how to overcome those obstacles. What are the obstacles? He says illness, laziness, procrastination. These are the initial obstacles he tells you. And he says, do it by working on your breath. You don't feel like getting out of the bed just today because it's raining, the terrace must be wet, so let's not do yoga today. Okay, just sit up and do your pranayama in bed. You won't believe it. Once you begin to do that pranayama in bed, you want to get out and do it. If not the terrace, in some room, you want to do that yoga there. Same thing with dance also. Now, he then comes, after a lot of practice, he comes to a different level of obstacles, kleshas. These kleshas are the more serious ones. So for a yoga practitioner, what happens is, the kleshas that the yoga practitioner faces, I'm a shooting time, okay, is that he gets magical powers. Can you believe it? After a certain point, he'll be able to levitate, he'll be able to tell you the future, he or she will be able to tell you what will happen, and he will be able to, curse people, and all these kind of things come up. Powers, these special powers that the yoga practitioner gets, he says, are obstacles. They stop the practitioner from going beyond that towards complete clarity of mind. Towards this complete clarity of mind, if the dancer has to go, what are the obstacles we face? A shapely body is the first obstacle we face, but something we need. All of us need to be light and fit, but to be stuck with that, to be so engrossed with that is an obstacle, right? Our own face, our own beauty, our own makeup and costume, which is necessary for us. See, that's the whole point. These things for the dancer, it's so much more difficult than a yoga practitioner because we need to look nice, we need to look presentable, we need to wear that sari which is presentable and do it. But then we cannot get carried away in that, we can't get caught in that. We have to remove that part and come back and say, okay, this is the real me, that's not me. So these obstacles, another major obstacle is because it is so body-based and it is so visual, we all suffer jealousies. We all suffer jealousies. It is that dancer who has conquered this jealousy, who really comes across on stage, who comes across as a person the audience would like to go back and watch. Yeah, how? Patanjali says, very simply, go make friends with the person you are jealous of. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Apeksha. 4 he gives. He says, just go, that for all you know, that person must be having his or her own insecurities. Go talk to that person, appreciate. If there is something that person is better than you in, just go appreciate. Say, wow. He says, the minute you say, wow, this was so good, that quality is imbibed in you. You work towards that. This is another thing I am saying out of experience. This is not theoretical. I have had colleagues who are very good with footwork and other things. So I went and I said, of course I didn't do it initially, I suffered my share of jealousy. But after that, I went and I said, fantastic. And then I knew how to work on that. And I have friends now. I have friends in my rivals, I don't like the word, but competitors, right? There's just one little concept that he talks about in the last chapter. He talks about Kaivalya. Kaivalya, which I relate to the rasa of the dancer. Rasa is that experience that the audience, the spectator experiences, that joy that the spectator experiences when he or she watches a piece of art and carries it. For this rasa to be created, there's a whole lot of exercise that the artist does. As I said, she is not allowed to get into it completely. She's supposed to be detached. But she's supposed to create this in the audience. Rasananda, Rasanishpatti is what is said. But then in the dance, in a piece of art, rasa, the experience of rasa is kshanika. It is temporary. It's only for a second or maybe a few minutes. And it's over. With yoga, that kind of kaivalya that the yoga practitioner enjoys is with the practitioner forever. And it only gets better. So do we as dancers, when it is informed dance and done with that kind of submission, there is kaivalya in dance too. To demonstrate kaivalya, he says, there's a very nice example that I have learned in my yoga class I'd like to share with you. There's this water body and there is this field of crops, right? And there is this water going from this water body to this field. What happens under normal circumstances is the water goes according to the passage. so much water goes. Then after a while, the farmer says, this is not enough. So he kind of entrenches this path. So there is a little more water that goes there. But then this water body also has outlets. So how much water is going there? There's only a portion of water that's going there, even if you have entrenched it. If you want all this water to go there, the trick is to close this completely. And then, which means close and put your focus onto your field completely. Then your water goes there, all the water goes there. Chitta vritti nirodha, all the activities of the mind are focused on your field, whatever it is. And the field, the beauty is not just you giving the field gives you water back, which means if you have poured, as a dancer, if you have poured your activities into dance, dance gives that back to you. You become one with dance, so much so that this whole thing becomes one. You become one with dance. You cannot be separated from the dance. So the dance and the dancer become inseparable. I am talking with respect to dance, but this can be applied to anything that you do. Again, right from the cobwebs. Anything that you do, it's just that complete focus. How do you get the focus? Patanjali has given us the Ashtanga Yoga for that. So when we were talking about Pratyahara, there is this concept of focusing dharana particularly. In dance, we have this concept of padams where we do a character that is not us, that is somebody else, but we sustain it. What you saw before this is where the dancer is portraying different characters in split seconds. It's not easy, mind you. In split seconds, the character changes and portrayed convincingly. Now, to hold on to one character for so long and not get distracted in between is quite something else. So, if we have a little time, yeah, okay. I will do an Annamacharya Kirtana for you. This is a beautiful Annamacharya Kirtana which is sung by Vakkalanka Sarala Rao, and I have done the choreography for this, where she says, the Naika, Alamelu Manga says, why doesn't he come? He hasn't come. Lord Venkateshwara is yet to come. And she says, why doesn't he come? I hear anybody's footsteps and I think it's him. You know, I'm in this state where Madi Jalluman Amma, everything, you know, I hear a footstep, I hear a door creak, or I think it's him, it's come, that he's come. So it is separation, but she's not crying in separation, she's in this wistful separation for him. And she says, I sit here and I think of all the sweet nothings I have shared with him, and I miss him. I keep going to my bed chamber and I think of the time I have spent with him, and I miss him. I look at my own breasts and I see the marks of his nails on me, and I miss him. This Venkateshwara, who is not here, makes me feel like he is right here, and yet I miss him. There's a certain universality about this song. We can get into the literature at some other point. It is completely Alamelumanga talking. Okay? Let's do this Annamacharya Kirtana, and with this I will end my talk. We can go for the questions after that. Third song.
ఎప్పుడు గాని రాడో ఎంత తడవాయ కాలి చప్పుడలకించి మతి జల్లురనెనమ్మా ఎప్పుడగాని రాడో ఎంత తడవాయ చప్పుడాలకించి మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా ఇద్దర మదరి పాటు ఏకాంతాన నాడుకొన్న సుద్దులు తలచి మేను చురుకనేనమ్మా ఇద్దర మదరి పాటు ఏకాంతాన నాడుకొన్న సుద్దులు తలచి మేను చురుకనేనమ్మా పెద్దగా కస్తూరి బొట్టు పెట్టిన ఆతడు గోర తిద్దుట తలచి మేను దిగులనేనమ్మా పెద్దగా కస్తూరి బొట్టు పెట్టిన ఆతడు గోర తిద్దుట తలచి మేను దిగులనేనమ్మా మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా పాయక ఆతడు నేను పవళించే ఇంటి వంక పోయి పోయి కడు చిన్న పోతినోయమ్మా పాయక ఆతడు నేను పవళించే ఇంటి వంక పోయి పోయి కడు చిన్న పోతినోయమ్మా తోయపు గువ్వల చన్ను దోయి మీద వాడొత్తిన పాయపు చంద్రుల చూచి భ్రమసిదినమ్మా తోయపు గువ్వల చన్ను దోయి మీద వాడొత్తిన పాయపు చంద్రుల చూచి భ్రమసిదినమ్మా మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా మతి జల్లూరనెనమ్మా కూడిన సౌఖ్యమూలందు మొదలేని వాని నా వేడుక మతిం తలచి వెరగాయనమ్మా కూడిన సౌఖ్యమూలందు మొదలేని వాని నా వేడుక మతిం తలచి వెరగాయనమ్మా ఈడులేని తిరువెంకటేశుండిది నా తోడ ఆడినట్టే నా చిత్తం అలరి
Thank you very much. Thank you, Flo, for inviting me over again.
What can I say? Thank you, Yashoda. Thank you so much for that breathtaking presentation and how beautifully you brought out the body and mind oneness, actually. And I haven't been a practitioner of yoga except in the last 2 months after the pandemic started. But I have always thought of yoga and dance as, two rivers originating from the same source. They've always felt like that to me because as a practitioner of dance, at least, I've felt that way, There's so much of fluidity in both.
Yes.
But then you showed us today, the subtle and not so subtle nuances that distinguish the two. The importance of prana, which is so important, the breathing. The inward and outward journeys that we have to, traverse.
Yes,
and so many little things that we do, with cognizance, without cognizance. Some things you notice, some things you don't notice. You brought that out so well. Thank you so much. And we have some questions for you, of course, coming your way.
Sure.
First one, I think, from Usha Raniji will take.
I love your sari, first of all.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Yashoda. Such an amazing performance.
Thank you
And
so
actually,
much.
this is very, very new to me. And I do practice yoga, but I never, never attended this kind of program. And it was so amazing.
Thank you so
And
much.
especially your expressions. Amazing, tremendous. Yeah. And I have a question.
Yes.
The Harvard Mental Health letter says that yoga can help depression and, in managing depression and anxiety.
Yes.
So, do you agree with that? And
Yes.
do you suggest that many people should take that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because these are difficult times with so many challenges now.
So if I can quote Sadhguru says, you manage something you want to keep with you. Why would you manage something that you don't want to keep? So why manage your depression? Let's get away with it. Let's just be done with depression. Yes, yoga helps with depression. No doubt about it. Helps get away from depression. But it has to be given in the right way, Usha. Again, I'll quote Sadhguru where he says, just practicing yoga without awareness is like, giving birth to a stillborn child. He says, when you practice yoga, do it with that kind of awareness and that kind of focus and the right way. Now, a person in depression will never sit down and do Anulom, Vilom, he will never do. So there are different ways of getting them to do, and yoga for us basically means focus. So you just have to change, focus and bring the interest out. Definitely yoga helps doing away with depression. I think everybody must go for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll give it to next.
Senior Vice Chair Uma Chigurupati has a question.
Can I sit and talk? You want me to stand?
Please, because you must be exhausted.
No, I'm just fine. I'm just energized.
That is beautiful. I think I got the Rasanubhava.
I think they want you to talk into the mic.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry, Iman. Yes, please tell me.
I got that Rasanubhava, because it involved my mind, soul, and I got that Tanmayatvam by your performance and by your talk. It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And also I learned about the Ashtanga. I'm into practicing yoga from past 15 years.
Okay.
I do practice certain things. My yoga guru, even today he comes, even though I can do on my own, I want a guru to be with me.
Absolutely.
I never follow all these things. I think after you explain to me, I'll try to, absorb all the 8 when I'm doing my yoga,
So
yogasanas.
I think it's part of the journey. The journey has begun 15 years ago. So we are picking up nuggets through the journey. This has happened to me. I started when I was 16. But that thrill of yoga I only enjoy now. And when I do the Isha
I think you have to get that maturity, right?
No, it's just the practice and commitment. The universe just gives it to you. It gives it when it has to.
Okay, my question today is, you explained, the importance of breathing, for different rasas. Like, sattvic, when you're performing, so many characters, so many different types of characters are coming over there. When you're shifting from one character to another character, do you alter your, kind of breathing also to get into that character?
To tell you frankly, not anymore, because now, okay, it's like this. I'm glad you asked this, because this whole exercise of yoga is like making the land fertile. You'll know as dancers. It's like making the body fertile and ready to take in the seed that is sown and give the best output of it. So once the body is ready, then you don't have to keep working on the earth every time. You do have to when the season is on, but not every day. So now I don't do it, but when I teach my students, I tell them, try breathing this way, then the mood may change. It may be easier for you to do this. So over practice, as I said, the object gives it back to you. So now that breath happens when I get into the character automatically.
So for for amateurs, to get into the character, it does help.
Yes,
but
going through pranayama.
Now you're a scholar, you don't require that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma. Ananda would now like to ask a question.
Yashoda, as enchanting as always and very scholarly. Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation.
Yes.
I just wanted to know the impact of yoga. Was it also there in the traditional more, Dasyatam, and they are more indigenous, more not very classical forms of art.
Yes.
Was it also there?
So Ananda, this is a question that I have struggled with for quite some time. Then I realized that yoga is that cloud which gives rain to everybody, So it gives rain to dancers, it gives rain to singers, artists, actors, and everybody else. So in Dasyatam, and they did a lot of physical exercise. Oh, the amount of, we are talking about the Devadasis, right?
Yes.
The amount, if I call Anna Batula Mangatayyaru Garu, I dread it, because she makes me work so hard physically when she's here. There's a lot of physical exercise, and then when she's giving the training in Abhinaya, she says, Abhinayam Palakalamma, you must understand the Nayaka, you must understand that relationship with the Nayaka. Why can't you feel shy towards the Nayaka? What is stopping you from feeling shy? So they have not delineated it as yoga. They don't know that they're teaching you this. But essentially I say, in fact in my thesis also I say, that kind of training in dance is not happening anymore. That kind, I don't know if it was happening, at least from the 1800s it was not happening. Earlier than that, I'm not sure. I really don't know. Because the practice of dance itself was a lot of work. So I say, if you find that this is not there in your practice of dance, replenish it with practice of yoga. Because I know that the practice of yoga makes you a very good dancer.
Thank you.
Nanda Rao has a question.
Namaskaram, Yashoda Garu.
Namaskaram, Nanda.
You started learning dance at a very tender age of 6. You could have easily remained by just being an exponent of Kuchipudi dance.
Yeah.
But then you spent a lot of time and effort in learning the Devadasi Nrityam.
Yes.
Now, what got you interested in that, and when? And did you have a lot of opposition?
Oh yeah. So, yes, as you said, I could have been doing Kuchipudi for a very long time and continued. I still dance Kuchipudi, as you see, and I thoroughly enjoy it. At one point of time, I belong to the family of Kalavantulu. So I came to know that I belonged to that family much later, maybe in my late teens or so. But even then, when my parents told me about it, I was not told about the history of it and the greatness of it, or the depth of it, because they didn't know. It's been very systematically removed from history. So they didn't know about it. When I was doing my masters, Nataraj Ramakrishna Garu was the one who was telling us about the Kalavantulu Sampradayam and the Devadasi Sampradayam and everything. I said, but this is where I belong, So then I said, I have to get back there. I need to get this back. Because he was telling us about the artistic side of it too. And then I realized there are a few things that are very native to the families, I suppose it comes from the gadda perugu that they eat. It comes to them and that muddapappu that they eat. So I said, I need to do this. I need to get it back from them. And the Devadasi dance really is the mother of all the modern classical dances that we have, most of them at least. Maybe not Satriya and Chow. At least the South Indian dances, the Devadasi dance is the mother. So I just like to go back to the roots. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll take a couple more questions. These are from members who have texted me the questions and I've quickly written them down. Sujita Tityala is asking, is age a factor to start or get back to dancing? I'm a Kuchipudi dancer but have not practiced for several years and would like to get back now. And what are the fitness aspects to be kept in mind for a restart?
That's very nice. First, come to me. Let's work this together.
Sujita, she's offering to teach you. So take her up on that.
Yes, we'll do that. Yoga helps, Sujita. Definitely yoga helps. So working, I would say do the Isha because it's very comprehensive without injury. It works on the mental, the physical, uncompromisingly it works on the physical while making you work on the mental side. So I would say give yourself 340 days of yoga practice. I'm not their marketing manager, but I would say do Isha, Angamardana, and then begin dancing. We'll do this together. Let's dance together.
Sujita, there you got your answer, I hope. And Charul Suri is asking, classical dance or music has unlimited potential in the hands of performers and researchers like you. How do you think it can be made appealing and approachable, accessible to our uninitiated youth?
Right. Did you like it today? So, this is a problem I face. Like my son, 19-year-old is not here. So, this is a problem we all face. But then, it's not just about the dance, it is about the dance. I say the dancers have to take it upon themselves, even musicians have to take it upon themselves to make it spectator friendly. Please do not dilute it. I do not mean you need to dilute it. I mean explain it to them. Because the youth is they're not an evil. They are the ones who have so much potential and they are the ones who understand it. If I need 10 sentences to understand a concept, they understand it in one sentence. So they're very intelligent, they're energetic, they have the potential. They're just, I would not say distracted, but pulled in too many directions because of the amount of information that's given to them. But if we can in some way, I just believe what we put into the child before they are 12, till the child is 12, will fade. During the teens, they will not listen to you, they will do something else. But I just feel it will come back. At some time it will come back to them. And to keep them going is a challenge. I have to admit it's a challenge to keep the child learning music or learning dance for a while. But you have to bribe them. But you also have to keep explaining the advantages of it to them. And this thing of what we had, that unless you practice for 8 long years, you will not get one small teeny weeny role on the stage, doesn't work. You have to show them the advantage right away. Gratification. Yes. Don't we want it? We make the curry even before we take it off the stove, we want to know how it tastes. So, we want it. The youth will also want it. We need to give it to them.
So one last question, and it's from me.
Yes.
So according to Natu Shastra, and even you discussed, that Rasanubhava is what dancers give to the spectator, and they should not or need not feel it, or at least keep themselves detached. Do you agree? Does that really happen? And
first of all, there are different kinds of dancers, Priya. We have dancers who come on stage and they just tell you the meaning of the line and they go. There is another dancer, all of them are valid. We need all kinds of dancers. There is another dancer who will come and tell you the story and leave. There is another dancer who will leave you with an experience that you carry for life for at least a month after that. I used to find it very unfair. This question troubled me so much, that why, if I can't experience it, how will I know what to make my audience experience?
Exactly.
Right? And then somebody gave me this thing of, you eat the sweet before, or you practice it and you experience your rasa on the day before the performance, and then you come on stage and you share it with your audience, and that's the purpose of you.
Does it feel like a job when you do that?
Yeah, and it does feel like a job also. I might want to eat it again, While on stage, I might want to experience it again. So then one day, just recently, in fact, a few months ago, I shared this with my students, master students at the University of Silicon Andhra. The problem is with the word detached. Again, I'll go back to Sadhguru, because he was talking about the difference between being detached completely and being disentangled with it. The thing is that you don't get entangled with that whole situation and carry that. Suppose I have practiced Draupadi and I carry Draupadi, I get entangled with this whole character of Draupadi, and then I carry Draupadi into my real life onto the stage next. If I was doing Draupadi when I was doing Krishna and Duryodhana and Dushasana, then, so the trick is to train your mind so much that for that split second you are involved in it. Why will the audience want to watch me if I am not involved in what I am dancing? Yeah. So I am involved in it, but then I am also disentangled from it. I jump out of the character for a second. In a second I can get out of the character and get into another character. So I think the problematic word here is detached. It is not detached, but don't get entangled.
So did we misinterpret it, or it was
written? I think
written
so.
like that?
I have to do a little more of this, I have to sit with my Sanskrit ma'am and check on this once. The minute this came to me, Priya, few things for dancers, it's out of experience. The minute this dawned on me, dancing became so much easier for me, and no guilt, because I'm happily involved in what I do.
Thank you so much, Yashoda. With that, we come to the end of the question-answer session.
Thank you, Priya.
If you can be seated, I will ask our Senior Vice Chairperson, Uma Chigurupati, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Okay.
Namaskaram, Namaste. As I expressed earlier, it's a beautiful, different program. I think it's a unique program is what I can tell. The relationship between yoga and dance, yet how they are separate, described so beautifully with your Vachikam, with your Abhinayam, and with your Angikam. So well done. Ancient India was the land of sages and scholars whose contribution to the world is enormous and invaluable. Yoga comes into that category. We all agree that yoga is India's gift to the world for health, wellness, and peace. The well-being through physical, mental, and spiritual health is possible only through yoga. It is one of the Hindu philosophical traditions and a holistic approach to health and well-being. In the same way, dance is a part of Indian culture and tradition from ancient times. They say Natya Veda was created by Brahma by taking the word from Rigveda, melody from Samaveda, mime from Yajurveda, and emotion from Atharvana Veda. We all know the physical attributions of the dance and the therapeutic value also. They say it influences the brain in a very, very positive way, and they say dance can be used in a clinical way to improve the health of the brain. Is it so? So, once again, I thank Ms. Yashoda Thakore and her team for bringing out this beautiful program for us today. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much.
I thank the Saptapanni team for obliging our request and providing this venue. Thank you so much. My heartfelt thanks to the generosity of our sponsors, Polman Group of Companies, RBC Worldwide, our branding partners, Mustang Services, and Matrix Jewels for all the support extended to us today. Thank you, past chairs, all the members of the FLO, and my hard-working committee and the IT team for all the support. Thank you so much. I thank all the viewers and also media for being with us today. Before I conclude, a small reminder. We all know that tomorrow is World Yoga Day. This year, the theme is Yoga Practice at Home and with Family. In these stressful situations, to bring out from this stress and to boost our immunity, it is very important that we all have to practice yoga. If you are already practicing, it is well and good. If you are not, at least please start tomorrow with your family and create that positive aura around you and benefit yourself. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Namaste.
Thanks, Uma. Lovely nuggets of advice there also. Ladies, this is our first attempt, as you know, at doing a live event. Taking all the precautions took some doing, but as always, the back office stepped up and forward without missing a beat. Gentle reminder to keep both our numbers and email IDs handy. We are just a phone or mail away to sort out any issue you may be facing regarding your membership. Take advantage of Flow Marketplace to advertise your products and services and build your business network. Thank you everyone for joining us. Happy International Yoga Day. Stay fit, stay put. Namaste.